when I showed up to my sister's wedding in a dress I bought secondhand. She looked me up and down like I'd tracked dirt across her perfect day. Then she smiled, that tight, practiced smile, the kind that says thanks for coming but means, I wish you hadn't. I didn't say anything. I just handed her the gift I'd spent 2 months saving for. A handmade photo album with our childhood pictures, scanned, restored, bound in leather, something personal, thoughtful. She didn't even open it, just passed it to someone behind her like I'd given her a bag of trash. My name is Emily. I'm 29, the middle daughter in a family that never looked twice at the quiet one. I kept to myself, worked early, came home late, paid my way through everything. In our house, love came loud, and I was quiet. Mom always said Ava was me, but better. She meant it as a compliment, but only for Ava. At 12, I was already cooking dinner while Mom cried in the laundry room. At 15, I was covering bills with tips from my supermarket job. At 17, I opened a savings account in secret. I wanted out. That was my college fund, my escape, my future. Until Ava got accepted to St. Vincent's University, some fancy private school with ivy on the walls and tuition higher than our annual income. I remember the day like it's still happening. Mom called me into the kitchen. She was making spaghetti, her good news meal. We're so proud of her, she said. And, well, we had to use what we had. Family sticks together. I didn't understand what she meant, not until I checked my bank account later that night. My college fund, gone, all $19,346. I sat there staring at the screen, refreshing it like maybe it was just a glitch. A temporary mistake, but it wasn't. The transfer was labeled Parental Authorization. My mom had co-signed the account when I was 17. I thought it was just paperwork, trust. It was a trap. They used me, stripped me bare, and called it support. I didn't fight. I didn't scream. I just adjusted, got a job at a diner, took a few night classes, paused the rest. Ava sent me photos from her dorm, her new laptop, her first snow on campus. Miss you, she texted once. I didn't respond. She never followed up. And now, 4 years later, here I was at her wedding. I'd flown in on a budget airline, took a shuttle to the venue, paid for a room in the hotel her new in-laws had rented out. Not a word from her about covering costs. I wore makeup I'd bought on clearance, shoes that blistered my feet. I had a card in my purse with a handwritten letter I never gave her. It wasn't worth it. Nothing was. The ceremony was flawless. Of course it was. Ava walked down the aisle like she owned the world, like everyone owed her a standing ovation. People cried, applauded, called her an angel. When Dad hugged her, he actually said, "You've made us so proud." I watched from the second row. Mom didn't ask why I wasn't in the front. She didn't even notice. At the reception, I sat next to Uncle Theo, the one everyone whispers about, because he never got married and lives alone with his cats. He asked how I was doing. I said, fine. He smiled and nodded. The kind of nod people give when they know you're lying and don't want to ask why. Dinner came, chicken or fish. I chose chicken. It was dry. Ava gave a speech, thanked everyone, called out her bridesmaids, thanked her husband's parents. Her voice shook with emotion. When she mentioned family, she said, "To Mom and Dad, thank you for teaching me what sacrifice looks like." People clapped. She didn't look at me. I sipped my wine. My aunt leaned over, too loud from 2 drinks. "Still working at that little coffee place?" "It's a cafe," I said. "And no, not anymore." She raised her eyebrows. "Oh, well, something else now?" I nodded. She didn't press, just smiled like she pitied me. Later, when the dancing started, I stepped outside. The air was colder than I expected, It scraped my lungs in a way that made me feel awake. My phone buzzed, a text from Ava. "Hope you're having fun." I turned the screen off without replying. I heard laughter behind me, turned. Mom was at the door, talking to someone, maybe one of the groom's cousins. She glanced at me, then back inside. Didn't wave, didn't speak. I stood there for a while, let the cold settle in my bones. It felt honest. Inside, the lights pulsed, music, champagne, gold decorations. Ava lived in a world that sparkled. I lived in the dark corner just beyond it. I went back inside once, just to say goodbye. No one noticed. I walked past the dessert table, past the line for photos. My gift sat unopened next to a pile of envelopes. She'd never even touched it. As I reached the elevator, someone tapped my shoulder. It was Ava's new husband. He smiled politely. "Emily, right?" I nodded. "I just wanted to say, Ava told me you helped her a lot growing up, so thanks, that means something." I blinked. That was more acknowledgement than I'd gotten from my own parents in years. But I didn't know how to respond, so I said, "Congratulations." He smiled again and left. The elevator doors closed behind me. My reflection looked tired, but clear. I didn't cry. I didn't curse. I just existed. The car ride back to my hotel was silent. No music, just the hum of the tires and the streetlights flickering past. I took off my shoes in the lobby, walked barefoot to the elevator. My feet bled a little. I didn't care. In my room, I peeled off the dress, folded it carefully, sat on the edge of the bed, looked out at the parking lot. Somewhere in that building, people were still dancing, laughing, telling stories that didn't include me. I turned off my phone, deleted the messages from my mom, the one from Ava. Then I deleted their numbers, not out of anger, not yet, just clarity. I didn't belong there. I never had. I lay down, closed my eyes, felt the silence wrap around me like something earned. I didn't slam the door. I didn't say goodbye. I just left. And no one came after me. The first thing I did was buy a pair of boots, not flashy, not expensive, but warm, waterproof, quiet. They were the first thing I owned just for myself in a long time. I wore them every day for 2 years. Through rain, ice, sleet, loneliness. They never let me down. I moved across the state. No one noticed. I didn't tell them. Got a studio apartment above a pizza shop that always smelled like burnt cheese. The walls were thin. I didn't care. I worked mornings at a bookstore and nights cleaning offices. Started sleeping less. Not because I had to, but because I liked the silence. No one asked me for anything. No one took anything. I signed up for online courses at night, accounting, marketing, business operations. Watched lectures while folding laundry or eating dry toast. No dorm, no financial aid, just me, my laptop, my notes in a spiral-bound notebook with frayed edges. I stopped answering texts, stopped checking social media. The less I saw of them, the more I remembered myself. Mom tried calling twice. I let it ring, then I blocked her. Ava tagged me in a photo once, a throwback to when we were kids in matching pajamas. The caption said, "Some things never change." I untagged myself. Then I deleted the account. It wasn't hate, it was survival. They had burned everything soft in me, everything warm, everything willing. And now all I had left was focus, lasered, surgical. I applied for a night shift at a logistics center. Boxes, barcodes, forklifts. It paid well. I didn't speak to anyone there. Just clocked in, clocked out, saved everything. Watched my account grow like a wound healing. 10,000, then 20, then 45. Every dollar was armor. I didn't buy anything I didn't need. My mattress sat on the floor. My towels were mismatched. I ate soup out of the same pot I cooked it in. I didn't need a dining table. There was no one to sit across from me. And I liked it that way. I started a side hustle, tax filing for the warehouse guys, then resumes, business cards, virtual assistant work. The demand came quietly. I opened an LLC, made a simple website, started taking clients. I didn't smile on Zoom calls, didn't turn on my camera, just delivered the work, fast, clean, flawless. People liked that. I doubled my rates, then tripled them. By the time I turned 27, I had 6 retainer clients and no debt. The pizza shop downstairs closed. I bought the building from the landlord. Cash. He blinked when I handed him the check. People don't expect quiet girls to own real estate. I didn't tell anyone. No announcement, no celebration, just keys. One day I passed by a cafe that was closing. The owner was desperate. I bought it, gutted it, turned it into a co-working space. I didn't work there. I just liked watching people go in and out of something I built, something mine. No one from home reached out anymore. They never asked where I went, never asked who I became. They forgot me, which meant they couldn't ruin me anymore. I changed my number, got a P.O. box. The old address, the house I grew up in, became just a line I skipped when filling out forms. When people asked if I had siblings, I said no, not out of spite, but because I didn't feel the connection anymore. Ava was a story someone else told me, a name I heard once in a hallway. I didn't dream about them, didn't check in, didn't stalk their lives like some people do. There was nothing to see. No part of me still needed them. I became someone they wouldn't recognize, someone they wouldn't know how to talk to. And I liked that. I started dressing differently, simple, structured, monochrome. I didn't wear patterns, I didn't want attention. But people noticed anyway. They noticed the posture, the stillness, the way I walked into a room like I didn't need permission to be there. I wasn't angry, just hollowed out. I got better at being empty, and with the emptiness came clarity. I bought another building, an old duplex, rented it out, then a third. I liked numbers, properties, things that could be fixed with a wrench or a spreadsheet. People were too complicated, too unstable. Property made sense, and profit didn't lie. By 28, I had 3 streams of income and a lawyer who called me ma'am. I kept my boots, wore them every winter, scuffed, torn at the soles, but still holding me up. They were the only thing I didn't replace, because they were there when no one else was. And then one day I got a letter, handwritten, no return address. The handwriting was familiar. I opened it slowly, like peeling off a scar. It was from Ava. Just 5 words. Mom's sick, please come home. I stared at it for a long time, felt nothing, not guilt, not panic, not sadness, just stillness. I folded it neatly, placed it in a drawer, didn't respond. She sent another letter 2 weeks later, longer this time. I know you're mad, I don't blame you, but Mom's asking for you. Please, Emily. I didn't reply. I wasn't mad. I was just finished, and still, part of me waited for the silence to stretch long enough that I would forget again. Forget what they did, what they took, what I rebuilt. But the silence never felt heavy anymore. It felt earned. On my 29th birthday, I woke up to no messages, no calls, no cheap happy birthday posts. I made coffee, sat on the floor of my apartment, opened my laptop. Revenue that month, $16,200. Net profit, $11,473. I didn't smile, just closed the screen. Sometimes, when people lose everything, they get loud. Scream at the sky, burn the past. I didn't need to. I just disappeared. Quietly, no trace, no drama, no revenge, not yet. Only strength, only rebuilding. From ash, from betrayal, from the place they left me in. Alone, but no longer empty. The 3rd letter came with a hospital intake form, typed official, diagnosis circled in red. Stage 3. No handwritten note this time. Just a copy of Mom's ID and a line at the bottom. Immediate family contact needed. I stared at it for a full minute, then 2. My coffee went cold. I didn't move, didn't cry, didn't even blink. I left the envelope open on the counter, didn't throw it away, didn't answer either. A week passed, then Ava called. I still don't know how she got the number. She said my name like it tasted wrong in her mouth. Emily. Flat, awkward, like saying it to a stranger. She paused after, like she thought I'd hang up. I didn't say anything. So she filled the silence. Mom's in the hospital. She asked for you. Her voice cracked. Or maybe she just wanted it to sound like that. I don't know how bad it is, she said. They say she's stable, but... Another pause. She wants to see you. I stayed silent. She kept talking. She's different now. She knows she messed up. She talks about you all the time. I said nothing. I know what she did was wrong. That was the closest I'd ever get to an apology. She shouldn't have taken your fund, I know that. Still not sorry, just knowing. She thought she was helping. That part made me laugh, not loud, not bitter, just a breath, a soundless scoff. Ava kept going, filling the dead air like she was afraid of what would happen if she stopped. You've done well, I've heard. I saw your name on that business page. She trailed off, then tried again. I didn't know you were doing all that. It wasn't admiration, it was confusion. Like finding out the couch you used to sit on now runs a company. She didn't understand. She wasn't supposed to. She wants to make peace, she said finally. Then, come home. I didn't say yes, didn't say no. I just hung up. And the next day I packed a bag, black coat, neutral dress, the boots still holding together. I boarded a train with a window seat, watched trees flick past like a slideshow of things I'd already let go. No excitement, no dread, just motion, just time. When I got off, Ava was waiting. Her hair was straighter than I remembered. Her smile stiff. She opened her arms. I didn't move, so she dropped them. That's fair, she said quietly. She drove me in silence. The car smelled like expensive air freshener. Too sweet. She glanced over once. I didn't look back. You look different. I didn't answer. Mom was in a rehab facility, not a hospital, cheaper. She sat in a beige room with bad lighting and a view of a dumpster. Her face had thinned, eyes softer, but not unfamiliar. When she saw me, her hands started shaking. She reached out. Emily! I didn't take her hand. She blinked fast, wet at the corners. I didn't think you'd come. I said nothing. She gestured to the chair beside her. I stayed standing. She took a breath. I'm sorry. It wasn't enough, but it was something. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was helping her. She was so young, so hopeful. I tilted my head. So was I. I thought you'd bounce back. I had, just not for her. She looked at me like I was a ghost in her house, something she thought was gone for good. You've changed. That line again. I nodded once. She wiped her nose with a tissue. I heard you bought property. Of course, Ava told her. I didn't respond. She kept talking. People like her always do. She needs help, you know. Avenue. They're trying for a baby. Her husband lost his job. It's been hard. There it was, the ask, wrapped in family, sealed with guilt. I told her you might pitch in. I didn't move, didn't speak, just let the silence settle like dust. She looked up to you, she added, quieter. I almost laughed. She did, she insisted, even if she didn't say it. My eyes stayed on the window, gray sky, barren trees, a bird picking through trash. I don't want to die with things broken, Mom said. I turned to her finally. You broke them, not me. She flinched. Her mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. I walked to the door. Her voice caught behind me. "Emily, wait," but I didn't. Outside, Ava was crying in the car. Tears wiped quickly when she saw me. "Did she say anything?" I nodded. Ava looked relieved. Like that counted as closure. "She's scared," she said. "I'm not," I answered. She started to speak again, but I opened the door. "I need to go." She didn't stop me. Back at the old house, nothing had changed. Same paint, same cracked step. Inside, photos of Ava everywhere. Graduation, wedding, honeymoon. Not one of me. I looked for my room. It wasn't mine anymore. Turned into a craft space, storage, something in between. Boxes where my bed used to be. I walked through the hallway like a visitor at a museum of someone else's childhood. Ava followed me. "She wants to fix things." "She wants relief," I said. There was a difference. "She's dying." So was I. Ava went quiet. "I know what she took," she said. "Do you?" She told me eventually. I was already at St. Vincent's. She said it was her savings. "Your tuition said my name on the wire." Ava blinked. "I didn't check." Of course she didn't. We stood there for a long time. No shouting, no drama, just stillness. Eventually she said, "Can we start over?" I looked at her, all grown up, married, hoping for a child, still not sorry, still hoping I'd do the forgiving for her. "I don't hate you," I said. That confused her. "I'm just not yours anymore." I left before sunset. Didn't stay for dinner. Didn't leave a note. Back at the station, I sat with my coat wrapped tight. Hands steady, phone off. I didn't cry, didn't shake. I wasn't angry. I just wasn't theirs anymore. I didn't go to the funeral. Ava left 3 voicemails the day Mom died. One said she understood. The next begged. The last just said, "She's gone." I listened to all of them. Then I deleted each one. I was in New York by then. A small brownstone I'd bought in cash and converted into apartments. Tenants paid early. I walked the hallways once a week. Made sure the lights worked, the stair rails held. That the building stayed quiet, like I liked it. After the funeral, a letter arrived. A manila envelope, legal paper, stamped and dated, the will. She left it all to Ava. All of it, the house, the retirement account, the car, the ceramic angel collection. She dusted every Sunday like prayer, all of it, except one thing. A small parcel of land, worth almost nothing, barely more than a patch of gravel, left to me. No note, no explanation, just a line in the will. To Emily, for her independence. I didn't feel insulted. I felt amused. Even in death, she still didn't see me. Ava called the next day. She sounded tired, like grief had run her voice raw. "She left you the plot in Pine Hollow." I waited. "It's in probate, but it'll pass to you soon." I said nothing. Then softer. "I didn't know she was going to do that." "She did," I said. "She always did what you needed." Ava sighed. "I know it wasn't fair." That wasn't an apology. Just another sentence she didn't want to hold. "She said you didn't need anything," she added. "I didn't," I said, but I remembered everything. Ava didn't reply, so I kept going. "You asked if we could start over." She waited. "I've already started over." That time she hung up. I smiled, not because it felt good, but because it felt clean. The next month, Ava emailed me, said she and her husband were buying a new house. Wanted to know if I'd consider investing, just a small amount, just a loan. I never replied. 2 weeks later, she sent a longer message. Said they were struggling with fertility treatments. Insurance wasn't covering all of it. Her voice bled through the screen. I stared at the email, then deleted it. I didn't hate her. I just didn't choose her anymore. I chose myself, for the first time, completely. I gave the plot of land to the local community garden, signed over the deed, no press, no plaque, just a quiet handoff, let it grow what it needed. That same week, I rewrote my own will, left nothing to Ava. Instead, I named a young cousin, Daniela, the one no one invited to holidays because she wore dark lipstick and didn't like meat. She cried when I called, said, "Why me?" I said, "Because they never saw you." She understood. Some people just do. I funded her design school tuition, sent it anonymously at first. She found out anyway, sent me a handmade thank you card with a sketch of a tree on the front. Roots deep, bare branches. I kept it on my fridge. The first time Ava asked directly for money, she left a voicemail, 3 minutes long. Started with, "Hey, I hate to ask this." Ended with, "We're family after all." I blocked her, not out of spite, out of practice. My lawyer said she called his office later, asking if the estate had any outstanding assets, any investments she didn't know about. He told her the truth. I had more money than she thought, but none of it was hers. She said I was being cruel. He said I was being clear. I liked that. Over the next year, I sent 3 graduation gifts to cousins, to a neighbor kid, to the daughter of a woman who used to clean offices with me. All quiet, all cash, all without fanfare. I didn't post about it, didn't expect anything back. The gift wasn't the point. The point was I had it to give. And they were better people to give it to. Ava showed up once, at my building in New York. I saw her on the camera, standing outside in the rain. No umbrella, no shame, just wet hair and a red coat. She buzzed. I didn't answer. She stood there a long time, eventually walked away. I never asked why she came. She never tried again. 3 months later, I read her husband left, moved out, took half the furniture. Someone tagged her in a photo at a bar. She looked tired, worn in a way money can't undo. That same week, Daniela graduated, top of her class. I sent her a check with no note. She called anyway, said she was opening her own shop. Asked if she could use my name on the investor forms. I said yes. She said, "They thought I wouldn't make it." I said, "Let them think." Because I knew. Sometimes silence is the sharpest sound. People don't know what to do with a woman who doesn't yell, doesn't cry, doesn't explain. They expect heat, drama, rage, but I never burned bridges. I just stopped walking back. And when you stop walking back, you see how far you've come. I still have the boots, still wear them some days. They remind me of the girl who didn't fight, didn't scream, didn't beg. She just left and never needed to come back. If you've ever experienced this, if you were the one they forgot, and the one who found their way out, share your story. Someone out there needs to hear it. Thanks for staying until the end.